hail and large damaging winds as it treks back towards the northeast at what now seems to be about 40 to 45 miles an hour. As we look at the clock, I've got 4:39 on the clock here in the studio. Should be near Forest Glade, Woodland High School by 4:40, Mahia by 4:45, into Wortham by 4:52 as it continues making its push back towards the northeast, the Curvin, and to Streetman as well. Again, a tornado indicated by Doppler radar, very heavy rains. We've been watching this and it looked like it was rain shrouded, wrapped with rain, and rather hard for boots on the ground to indicate where there might be a tornado in that, but the Doppler radar now is beginning to indicate what could be some circulation around that center. And tornado warning in effect for Limestone County, including the Groesbeck Mahia area until 5:15 or 5:30. Jordan?
It is,
I think 5:30 on that one. The rest of us are under a tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock this evening. That means the potential is there for strong to damaging weather to develop across the area until 8 o'clock or so. We've got new development out to the west of us, pushing towards the I-35 corridor. Not as intense as what has been going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but we are beginning to see development of these storms. Now, this is Coryell County here. You're looking at Bosque County. Strong thunderstorms, rural areas right now, but everything is beginning to blossom. And as we have been talking about for the last couple of days, we felt like the peak heating of the afternoon, heading towards 5, 6 o'clock or so, is when things would start popping as that cold front out west begins to make its way in. And that is certainly what is happening right now. So you've got another second line of showers and thunderstorms moving out of the big country into north central Texas right now and back building down into our area. One individual storm is this one that is near Mahia with the potential of a tornado embedded in that storm and moving towards the north and northeast. There's the Doppler radar once again. Tornado warning in effect until 4:30 for another hour for this storm across Limestone County, heading in the general direction of Mahia and Wortham. In the weather studio with me is Jordan Frazier. Jordan, what are you seeing in the chat room there with the National Weather Service? What are they seeing?
So we are seeing right now, it's currently staying in effect until about 5 o'clock, 50-mile-per-hour movement from the actual system itself. Still just radar indicated, of course. Looking to be around Lake Mahia right about now in actual Mahia region within the next couple of minutes, about 3 minutes time, and around Wortham around 4:50, so we're talking about 8 minutes from now. It's also going to include Interstate 45 if it makes it that far in between mile markers 205 and 212. Still just going to be radar indicated rotation. I'm going to see if I can find anything else.
Switch over to max 2 real quick. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, we're still seeing dangerous storm nearing Wortham around 4:50. Other locations are going to be Streetman, Curvin, of course, anything around that area. Tree damage is certainly very likely. I'm getting max hail size about 3/4 of an inch. Nothing too bad. Like, hail has been relatively calm with a lot of these actual storms right now. Looks like they just popped in another warning or the latest update for said warning.
In that general area, yeah, over towards Kaufman and Hunt counties, there's another supercell involved there that's out of our viewing area, and that's where this storm that is over Limestone County is heading towards.
Absolutely. It's still showing, obviously radar indicated rotation. We're still looking at a lot of these storms now moving northwest about 45 miles per hour.
Northeast.
Northeast at 45 miles per hour. So it is starting to slow down, but a lot of these storms in general, they have been just very fast moving storms, lots of very strong winds, and of course that can lead to a lot of these rotations happening very quickly. But with a lot of these tornadoes and tornado warnings, not to put it lightly, but a lot of them have been just radar indicated because of these very strong rotational winds.
The greatest threat of severe weather continues to be back to the northeast of us, back towards Canton, Longview, Tyler, all the way up towards Texarkana. These storms are now beginning to make their way up there and becoming stronger and more dangerous as they do. The line is being pushed by drier air undercutting the warm, moist air at the surface and causing these storms to reach dangerous levels. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect down for the area south of Groesbeck, and that will run until 5:30 this afternoon. And the tornado warning in effect till 5 o'clock this afternoon for the Wortham and Mahia area and points northward back towards the I-45 corridor. So again, stay on your toes. This is a very volatile situation. If you aren't in Limestone County or Freestone County or Hill County, be mindful that there is storm activity going on out there, and it's going to stay volatile for us throughout the rest of the afternoon. Switch back over to the Max 2. We got two radar systems here. We're going to the Max 2 from Max 2 to Max 1 here and show you the tornado warning and the a rotation that is suspected here in this storm as it makes its way very close to Mahia right now. Back out a little wider, you see things to the south are fairly quiet, but hey, out here to the west, we've got brand new development going on. Storms moving from the west towards the east. They've made their way through San Saba and Lampasas counties, now making their way into Coryell County. These storms are below severe limits, but they are capable of at least marble-sized hail and very strong gusty winds. Here's the area that's really been pounded the worst today is the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, so we can count our blessings here that we haven't gotten that kind of weather, but the night's not over yet. Again, the tornado watch is in effect till 8 o'clock tonight, so the potential is there. Seeing what could be a little bit of rotation on a storm showing up across, well, it's right on the Falls, Robertson County line near Rosebud. Right there close to the Brazos River. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect there until 5:30 this afternoon for a very strong, dangerous storm. It looks like upper level winds may be tearing the tops off of these storms and keeping them from developing too much more, but certainly some very dangerous weather conditions going on. Here's Milam County, around Cameron. We're seeing showers and thunderstorms feeding back up into that same line of storms. That's the first wave. The second wave still back here, moving out of Hamilton County into Bosque County and into the Dallas-Fort Worth area where they've been pounded extremely hard throughout much of the afternoon. A little closer look. Now, we were seeing what looked like a possible tornado earlier this afternoon over towards northern Bosque County, north of Meridian and into Hill County. And we're still looking at the line of storms rolling back over that same area as well this afternoon. To the north of Gatesville in Coryell County, new storm activity is going on there. To the east we go for a strong thunderstorm warning that is in effect for portions of Limestone County and Falls County. This line of storms here making their way into that watch box, and then there is our tornado warning storm just now approaching Mahia. What is the latest from the Weather Service on this one with our eyes on it here at Mahia?
The one near Mahia, they haven't really updated this one too much. We're still looking about hail about 1 inch in diameter. Looks like the one, that's going to be the one near Kaufman. There's multiple tornado warned storms.
Meteorologist Ashley Carter is with us in the Weather Center as well. What are you seeing? Anything in particular that sticks out to your eyes?
Just mainly hail and just the high winds is mainly what we're seeing, which was the biggest storm threat that we are forecasting for this morning. Again, with that tornado watch still in effect until about 8 o'clock tonight, is a possibility that we could still see tornadoes as we head into tonight. All of this is just radar indicated tornado warnings, however, so no confirmed tornadoes have been issued, mainly just hail, 3/4 of an inch, as well as winds up 40 miles per hour plus with some of these storms that are tornado warned right now.
Heaviest rainfall totals that I've seen so far have been in the vicinity of an inch to an inch and a half. These storms are moving quite rapidly, so we're not seeing nearly the rainfall totals that we would so desperately love to hear about. We need the rain, we don't need the severe weather. You hear us talking about watches and warnings, and remember that when a watch is issued, that means that the potential is there for strong to dangerous thunderstorms to develop. A warning means that they're in progress. We have a tornado warning in effect right now for the area around Mexia for a very dangerous thunderstorm there that could possibly become tornadic, and this is the one I'm talking about here. And you see the red box, that is the tornado warning area for the northern portions of Limestone County, making its way on back towards the northeast. Southern portions of Limestone County, and then back down into Falls and Robertson County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. As Ashley said, hail is probably the main thing that we're seeing in this storm. We have been warning for several days about the potential for very high winds, and we have seen the indication of winds as much as 45 to 50 miles an hour in these storms this afternoon. So a number of things you need to be doing to be ready if these storms come towards you. Obviously, stay away from windows. Flying debris can break those windows, and you don't want to be caught in that sort of situation. Go to the lowest level of your home, get away from the windows, and cover yourself. Put your shoes on too. I know you might be around the house in your socks and bare feet, but if things get bad, you're going to need to get out of there quickly, and it's not going to be a time for you to be looking for your shoes. So go to the lowest floor of your home and seek shelter in interior stairwells as well. Small closets, bathrooms, under the stairs, like the stairwells that we speak of there. These are perfect places unless you have a storm cellar, which we don't see a lot of in this part of the state. Perfect places to shelter from severe weather going on. Let's try to zoom in on this. Jordan, if you can, get in and close around Mexia and the Groesbeck area. We were seeing storms rolling right across Highway 14 in that area, which is near Fort Parker, and was an indication that would suggest the possibility of some rotation going on in that storm, but that has been about 15 minutes ago now, so I'm sure it's moved on from there.
I have actually, out of Limestone, Train Spotter says possible rotation near the Walmart off Milam Street in Mexia. And yeah, they are actually saying it's spreading into western Freestone right now.
Into Freestone County?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not far from the county line there, and yes, it certainly is. Very heavy rains, hail indicated in that storm as well, and strong winds in excess of 40 to 50 miles an hour, good likelihood of that storm. Again, tornado warning on that storm, and this one right here is what we're talking about until 5 o'clock this afternoon. I want to go down, see if we can get down tight like the street level on that and see just what's happening there in Mexia.
And it's still currently moving northeast about 40 miles per hour, still radar indicated, but people are obviously noticing some rotation within that storm.
We're going to stay with you, Mexia and Limestone County, keep you abreast of what's happening with this storm. You see that little, real tight little core there that might have had a little bit of hail in it at one point. What are our rainfall totals, our rainfall rates coming down at right now? Let's see. Yeah, well, we know that.
The hail sizes within these storms is continuing to increase as well. A lot of the actual storms are showing anywhere between about 3/4 of an inch to an inch in diameter. Some of the stronger ones are getting up to near an inch and a half in diameter in terms of hail size. So we are talking about possibly some damaging hail, which was another one of the really big threats. Biggest non-threat was actually going to be how much rain we're getting, just because these storms are moving so quickly over the area. But of course, you get these very strong winds with a lot of moisture kind of pulling up from the Gulf of Mexico, helping to power these squall lines. You're going to get some very quick rotation within these storms themselves.
Well, we're not seeing the rotation on the Doppler radar right now. So perhaps whatever they at the Weather Service were seeing has evolved beyond that. But we are seeing very heavy rains and very strong winds. I'm going to go in even a little closer on this thing. Again, this is a very dangerous storm, which is now it looks like it's located just to the north of Mahia, Highway 14. 14 is the one that runs from Mahia on up towards Wortham there. And the storm is actually moving generally in that direction. We're going to get down to street level on this and show you where the storm is perched. We are very close to, this is Highway 14 and close to County Road at 244. Yeah, you're probably experiencing some very heavy rain and very strong winds in that area just to the north of Mahia. And as Jordan said, these storms are moving pretty rapidly, so you're not going to be dealing with it for too terribly long, but while it lasts, it's extremely dangerous. Again, if you just tuned in, we are experiencing some bumpy weather here in Central Texas this afternoon, something that's been well advertised for almost a week now for a Pacific frontal system arriving and moving through the area. With it coming strong thunderstorm activity. The biggest threat we have been fearful of has been wind damage from these, and we've certainly seen very strong winds embedded in these storms. 60-mile-an-hour winds have been very common with these storms. Large hail as well, and as Jordan pointed out, we're not seeing huge rainfall totals because stuff is moving so rapidly. It's sweeping across the area. We're going to be under the gun with this bad weather probably until shortly after sunset tonight. That's when our tornado watch will expire, and the atmosphere becomes a little more stabilized at that point. And behind that, skies will clear out real quick like, and we should be down, get this, down in the mid-40s first thing tomorrow morning. Tomorrow should be a beautiful day, high at 71, light breezes, not much more than 5 miles an hour throughout the day. But until then, we got to get through this little spell of bad weather. Tornado warning remains in effect for Limestone County, and we have a tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock tonight for just about all of Central Texas. The western counties along Highway 281 are not included in it, nor are some of our countries back down towards counties, back towards the Texas Hill Country are cleared from it. I pointed out earlier the greatest threat from this stuff is going to be back towards the northeast tonight, and that certainly has been where the action has been going on this afternoon from Fort Worth through Arlington to Dallas to Mesquite, now spreading back over as far east as Sulphur Springs and into the Arklatex. Very rough weather this afternoon. This is a chart showing you the threat level for us here in Central Texas. The dark green is very marginal, almost unlikely that you're going to see shower activity there. The yellow ramps that up a little bit. Much of our viewing area here in Central Texas is in the level 3 enhanced category for severe weather going on. So and we're getting that. As you move back towards the northeast, we get into that reddish orange area, and that area is the one that we are most likely to see severe weather, and that has been what has been going on this evening, this afternoon and this evening back there into northeast Texas. It's information coming to us from the National Weather Service's Severe Storms Forecast Center in Norman. Rotation that was just east of Wortham should be approaching I-45 in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. That was what we were looking at on Doppler radar a moment ago. Not necessarily a tornado, not getting reports of touchdown, but we're certainly seeing rotation in that storm on the Doppler radar. So it's a radar indicated tornado. Here's our big threat risk for the day. High winds, number 1. We can see winds in excess of 80 miles an hour of this stuff. Lesser extent of tornadoes and large hail, but certainly the possibility is there. And as we've pointed out several times, the rain threat is pretty low because these storms are moving so rapidly. What we're looking at right now is a forecast model of what's going to be happening in the remainder of the evening. Up and down I-35, still looking at light showers, and our temperature is still quite warm, upper 70s and low 80s in most cases across the area. But look out west, we're already beginning to see skies begin to clearing out. Here's where your frontal boundary lays right out. You see where the winds have been out of the south, and then they're going more southwesterly. That's the front itself. Once the front comes through, we move all this stuff out of here. But watch what happens. That means it just gets out of here quick. Once the sun goes down, the atmosphere begins stabilizing, and it's through the Brazos Valley and over to deep East Texas and heading towards Louisiana by midnight tonight. Tomorrow looks like it's going to be a beautiful day for us with plenty of sunshine and temperatures rebounding back up into upper 60s and low 70s for afternoon highs tomorrow. Our concern right now, though, continues to be a tornado indicated by Doppler radar across Limestone County, just to the north of Mejia, close to Wortham, that is also pushing back towards the I-45 corridor. Strong gusty winds, no matter whether there's rotation or not embedded in that storm. We're certainly looking at strong winds. Our winds sustained now 15 to 20 miles an hour right now, wind gusts better than 25 to 30 miles an hour this afternoon, decreasing once the system moves on through as we go through the remainder of the evening. Show you the radar one more time here. Well, much of the state is looking at quiet weather conditions. It's all concentrated right here along the I-35 corridor and back over to deep East Texas. We have a tornado watch in effect till 8 o'clock tonight. That is the red box that you see here. It includes just about everyone in central Texas, with the exception of, as I said earlier, some of our Highway 281 corridor communities out to the west, and then back down across south central Texas as well. This is the line we're concerned with most right now, but we're also keeping a very close eye on new development as a second wave of storms continues developing and pushing back towards the east. Look at this. We got a new storm popping up down near Burnett. So we may draw that box on the screen as where the most favored area for severe weather is likely to occur, but anywhere just outside of that box is a possibility. And that's what we're seeing going on down near Burnett and back towards the areas just to the south of Highway 14, Interstate 14, that runs from Copper's Cove back towards Temple. Here's your Doppler velocity mode. And again, we're trying to see if there's any rotation in this. Storm moving out of Falls County into Limestone County, still showing very little in the way of any rotation. Here's our tornadic warned storm. From Mejia on back over just to the north of Fairfield along Highway Interstate 45. That one's still a very dangerous storm and something we certainly want to keep a very close eye on for the next hour or so. The threats as we go through the evening, remember the damaging winds, number one on the list, tornadic activity, moderate threat, but still very high in the moderate category right now. To a lesser extent, damaging hail and heavy rain also, things that we are watching very closely.
Yeah, and they have now extended that actual tornado warning just to the northeast of Mejia until 5:45. The original one has been set to expire already. And I am surprisingly actually beginning to pick up just a little bit of rotation within the actual tornado warned storm itself. And that's kind of the pattern that we're following along when it comes to some of these storms, where we're getting a little bit of that rotation. Nothing too major, but also just how quickly these are moving. This actual storm itself has kind of calmed down. It is moving at northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So not the 60, the 50, or the 40 that we've been seeing with a lot of these storms, but they're still expecting to move through the regions pretty quickly. So that means, obviously, if you are going to be in any kind of any warned area, number one, you definitely want to take shelter. But if you are in any kind of watch area, you want to be ready to go at this point. So we have multiple warnings all around the entire region. So we have the main tornado watch. That's going to be these highlighted counties as well as the red surrounding box. You would definitely want to be ready because conditions are going to be quite favorable for any kind of tornadic formation. We also have the chances for multiple severe thunderstorms coming into the region. That's where we have right around Marlin and just south of Mejia, a lot of these showers and thunderstorms becoming severe. We're talking gusts up to about 60 miles per hour. hail over an inch in diameter, getting up to about 2 inches in some places. So certainly some of that damaging hail. And of course, difference between watches and warnings. Watches, that's going to be quite favorable. Warnings means severe weather is definitely going to be imminent. Of course, you're going to see this entire line of showers and storms continuing to push its way out to the farther eastern regions, right along the I-45 corridor as we continue. But just as quickly as it comes through, it's going to be gone by around midnight. Like Andy was saying, right around sunset, we're going to start to lose a lot of energy within these storms, leaving us actually pretty good for much of the weekend. Any update, Andy?
Well, we did get an update. A storm spotter, trained storm spotter, confirmed that there was a tornado on the ground in that storm near Mahia. It was actually over to the east, about 10 miles or so, near Tawakoni. No reports of damages, but again, this is a rural area with at least a brief touchdown of tornado. So we've had that reported in for us. Other storms have probably been more damaging back north of Interstate 20 into North Texas. But so far, we've had very little of report of any severe weather here in Central Texas, other than this one eyewitness report of the storm near just to the east of Mahia at Tawakoni. Again, with stormy weather like this in progress, you need to be prepared. We've been talking about the threat of severe weather all afternoon long. Get to the lowest level of your home, away from windows, put your shoes on, cover your head, and try to stay put for as long as you can without getting into any compromising situations, I should say. Again, let's switch over to Max. There we go. Here's the radar showing us the activity that's going on right now and a time lapse of the last hour. Thunderstorms brewing up down in Falls and Milam County, moving over across the Brazos River to near Thornton and Groesbeck right now. We've still got very strong storms there. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for that one. When you continue up that line of showers, you get into the northern portions of Limestone County, and this is where we're talking about the possibility of a tornado now, eyewitness confirmed, between Coolidge and back over Tawakoni. Here's Tawakoni here. Penelope is a little further south than that, but this is the area where we had confirmation of a tornado from an eyewitness storm spotter. Moved on past Wortham now. The storm very likely, and we're seeing, this is our velocity where we look for the cool colors, the greens, and the hot colors, the reds side by side. That's indicating that we are getting some rotation now on this storm as it makes its way towards Interstate 45, Streetman and Richland on the interstate there. Highway 75 as well. We're warning for that storm. Again, a rural area, northern portions of Limestone County and Freestone County, or towards I-45 there for a tornado that has been indicated, been confirmed by eyewitnesses and indicated here on the Doppler radar as it makes its trek back towards the north and northeast at around 40-45 miles an hour. Very dangerous storm there. And the rest of us so far has been fairly quiet. We've gotten some rain and some very gusty winds, but the evening is not over with just yet. The potential continues to hang there with us for quite a while this afternoon.
Absolutely, and there's just multiple tornado-warned storms, mostly heading well to the north of our viewing area. We're talking about Dallas and Fort Worth as these storms just continue to pop up and just right along the squall line. That's what you get when you have lots of those strong southeasterly winds, high in moisture content, and also just very high in terms of heat lately. It has been quite a warm one over the last couple of days. We're talking about, it's November, and we're jumping all the way up into those 80s. That's not exactly what you expect for heading into late fall, getting into early winter, of course, as these storms continue to pop up around the region. Let's actually zoom out and actually see the entire statewide area as it slowly begins to load. You're looking at just widespread actual showers and thunderstorms, all associated with this main frontal system. This is slowly moving its way in. You have a lot of that troughing and the dry lines ahead of it. And so it's really causing a lot of these showers and thunderstorms. We're looking at multiple squall lines beginning number one, out to the I-45 corridor, slowly pushing its way in. The other one is starting to get pretty close, more so along the I-35 corridor as it begins pushing out to the east, while you kind of have all of that combined right north of Dallas-Fort Worth. That's why you have this watch box being as large as it is. We're talking about, again, widespread showers and thunderstorms, most of which, again, if you are to the east of I-35, you are most likely at risk. We're talking about the level 3 enhanced and the level 4 moderate risk in terms of severe thunderstorm potential. Biggest risk going to be tornadoes as well as very strong winds. We're talking gusts getting up to 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. And that's just from the storms themselves, not the tornadoes. Tornadoes, of course, can get even faster winds than that. As of now, we're still getting a couple of those unconfirmed reports of rotation as well as storm chasers spotting some of these. Do not try to chase any of these storms yourself. Just leave it to the professionals. You want to stay inside. You want to be in very sturdy buildings. You want to be able to stay out of your vehicle if you can. Go to the most interior portion of the building as well. Here's a more close look around the Central Texas region. We're still looking at a lot of these storms being more so very strong squalls, where we're looking at, look at that, very strong cells, excuse me. We're seeing a lot of lightning associated with these, where to the point where it's hard to really tell unless you get rid of this, that you can see just how strong they are in terms of, well, number one, rotation, number two, lots of rain, although localized flooding isn't too much. We're also keeping an eye on a couple of these storms right around Gatesville. Look at that. That little cell begins popping up and is slowly pushing its way just to the north of Waco along the I-35. Same thing, look, even right around Killeen, we're watching a couple of these showers, thunderstorms, kind of just slowly popping up. And it's quick too. They move very fast, which is why if you are in any of these kind of watch areas under our region, you want to be prepared. As Andy said, keep your shoes on. That's just a fantastic way to put it, because you want to be able to be prepared, get ready to stay in a very rough area if you have to, right? Any updates?
Absolutely, George. Hey, Rob, let's switch back over to Max 1. I want to show you this storm. This is Highway 14's day for weather. Apparently, we're looking at a very strong storm right there at the crossroads of Highway 7 and Highway 14. That's Falls County, or right on the county line there. We got huge radar return on a very dangerous thunderstorm that stretches from south of Cossie on up through Thornton and almost to Rosebeck, and it stretches over towards Purcellsville. Hail in this one to the size of nickels, and very heavy downpours of rain going on in that storm right now. It continues to move back towards the north and northeast around 20 miles an hour. This is a warned storm, and that means that there's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that one until very shortly. They're feeling like they're going to expire that one. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that that's probably going to be extended. Again, you have a tornado warning for the one just ahead of that. Again, these storms are trying to train, and you got a storm there for just north of Mexia, kind of clips Limestone County. Freestone County, I'll get that straight. Freestone County and Navarro County there, you can see it is where our next one is sitting. We'll put the velocity on there so we can see where there's rotation going on, and not as much showing up in the storm between Marlin and Cossie, stretching up towards Groesbeck. But when you get further north, that's the tornadic storm, and that's the one that we're got the tornado warning on it right now. A number of reports of hail, a lot of lightning, and heavy downpours of rain showing up in these storms across the region. And while we sit here in Temple looking at sunshine, blue skies, there are more storms that are beginning to approach from out west right now, so we have to be on our toes. Here's the forecast model. We'll take you through the next few hours and show that everything rapidly pushes off towards the east over the next couple of hours, and the skies begin to clear out. Once we get the dry line and the cold front through here, we are done with this stuff for the time being. Is it too early to tell them that there's another round of weather coming about a week from now? It's possible. Next Friday, we're looking downstream at the possibility of another system coming in. 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon, sunshine, blue skies, light south winds, temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s, a good possibility. This is the Doppler radar looking at reports of storms that we've seen around the area, and we will query here to see just north of Marlin, 1.5 inches of rain showing up there. And that mess that's going on between Mahia and Wortham, already almost 1 inch of rain. The lighter greens that we're seeing here showing lesser rainfall amounts. Lots of lightning embedded in this stuff as well this afternoon. There's that storm we were talking about near Burnett a moment ago. They've already had 1/2 inch of rain out of that storm this afternoon. We are staying on the air with a storm that is in progress. It is moving out of Limestone County, now into Freestone County, but still covered by a tornado warning. And this warning was substantiated by a trained storm spotter who saw the rotation and saw the tail of the tornado on the ground this afternoon. Here's the overview. We're under at least an enhanced risk of severe weather for the next couple of hours. It's shortly after 5 o'clock now, about 1/4 after 5. The threat for us here remains until possibly 8 o'clock. A little wider look at the radar, and most of the action now stretches from near Fairfield up to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but we are seeing some additional storms in progress and trying to strengthen between Waco and Valley Mills, and then on up towards Clifton and Meridian. Everything kind of sliding through the metro areas, these small towns out to the northwest of us, through mostly rural areas, but nonetheless causing some very heavy rains and very strong gusty winds as well. Still shot of the radar we're looking at with heavy thunderstorm activity embedded in these storms across Bosque County. Still looking at storms in Limestone County, across northern Freestone County, moving on to Navarro County as well. We have 2 tornado warnings in effect for Freestone and Navarro County as those storms are approaching the Trinity River now. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the southern portions of Limestone County, which includes Groesbeck in that area. Still storms in progress across that region. How about a switch over to Max 2 real quick? Rob, thank you. Bring me up to date. What are you seeing on that channel?
So we're seeing at about 5:12, severe thunderstorm capable of producing tornado was located near Richland Chambers Reservoir, or about 14 miles north of Fairfield, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Still going to be that radar indicated rotation. You're seeing just the size of these cells kind of exploding very quickly in terms of size. And also just the lightning capability alone. Within the center of them, they are absolutely huge. So, you know, the old saying goes, when thunder roars, go indoors. Definitely recommended for this, with just how strong some of these little cells are. Max hail size still about 3/4 of an inch in terms of diameter. We're still getting that tornado warning is staying in effect until about 5:45. The latest update was as of 5:13, still kind of moving in more toward the Richland region around there.
And further south, that storm we were just talking about across the southern portions of Limestone County, they are about to issue a tornado warning for that one as the storm gets closer to Thornton. Let me zoom in a little closer, and we'll switch back to Max 1 real quick. And let me zero in on the storm for you.
And with just how concentrated a lot of these little cells are, that's why we're getting so many tornado warned storms, because each of these cells is just very strong in terms of its own wind capability, lightning, as well as hail. These are going to be the biggest threats throughout much of the evening.
Okay, here we go. And we're showing that new tornado warning there. And let me get Thornton right dead center, and you can see I can see hail already on this one. You're getting close to Lake Limestone in that area. Very strong winds, and it certainly looks like a dry slot there, doesn't it? Trying to work its way in from the west side on that storm. If you're in the Thornton area, please seek shelter now. Groesbeck as well. If you have not gone to your safe place, now is the time, because these storms are continuing, moving towards the north and northeast very rapidly with very dangerous weather conditions. High winds, hail, very heavy downpours of rain, frequent lightning. It's just not a good day to be outdoors. So please seek shelter as quickly as possible. We're seeing now that the tornado is near FM 1567 and Highway 19. I'm not sure that's in this. I don't think that's the same storm. Tornado warning, Freestone Limestone. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located 8 miles south of Groesbeck. That's what we're talking about there, Thornton, because Thornton is just south of Groesbeck there. Let me slide this map down, you can see better. Thornton at the bottom of your screen, Groesbeck at the top. The storm is just to the south of Groesbeck by 7 miles or so, and it is moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. Again, this is a Doppler indicated tornado. This is not the one that we had confirmation on by a storm spotter earlier, but we're getting many reports of large hail and damaging winds with the activity that's going on. So tornado warning for Limestone and Freestone County for that rotation indicated there near Thornton, and that warning is going to be in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. So you folks in Limestone County, this is a serious weather situation, nothing to take lightly. Be sure that you get to shelter immediately. Large hail doing damage, winds, snapping tree limbs, possible power outages with the kind of winds that we're seeing this afternoon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still seeing actual possible locations where this tornado warned storm can be moving toward Groesbeck by around 5:25. So within the next 5 minutes, it should be around that area. Lake Limestone and Fort Parker State Park around 5:35. So within about 15 minutes. Teague around 5:50. So about half an hour. And then around Fairfield by about 6. That's what happens when you have a storm like this moving at about 40 miles per hour. You're talking a car moving just on a normal highway that quickly, which is why obviously they put out the severe thunderstorm warning ahead of these tornado warnings. So even if you're going to be in any kind of warned area or even just a watch area, it's when you need to be the most weather aware. We're looking at the actual velocity, and it looks relatively weak. I'm seeing some slight rotation just to the south of Thornton, but I'm not seeing anything too major. Of course, that doesn't mean not to take this seriously. Of course, we're still looking at southwestern Freestone County and central Limestone County until 6 o'clock. It's currently located about 8 miles south of Groesbeck. We're seeing about half dollar-sized hail. I'm getting about 1.25 inches in diameter from the radar, and we're still getting a little bit more of that rotation now just to the west of Thornton ever so slightly. Ashley, what's the latest update?
Yeah, I've been looking at this storm in Freestone and Limestone County that looks like where we're getting the most radar indicated hail, that is, as well as winds 40 miles per hour plus at this time. That has now been extended until 6 o'clock, and that's moving out further northeast. So whenever we have these warnings come down, as you guys have mentioned, that means that either severe storms are capable or likely to be produced here. So it's going to be important that you get in those safe areas right now, especially if you are even in the line of some of these storms. And just a reminder that even in these areas where we aren't seeing any severe weather taking place, we still do have that tornado watch in effect until we get into 8 o'clock. That's for Bell, McLennan, as well as Milam County. So conditions are still going to be favorable here for the next, I would say, 2.5 hours. So even if you're not in some of these areas where we're getting these stronger storms and tornado warnings, still going to be really important to really stay on weather watch until those tornado watches are set to expire at 8 o'clock tonight. Now, because of how fast these storms are moving, we're expecting it to move out of our viewing area into East Texas really just before midnight. So because we're not getting a lot of heavy rain with this, localized flooding is going to be possible, and this is really all just the timeline of even what I was forecasting for this morning, and even the threats are really lining up to what we were thinking with those high winds and hail, and that's all what we're getting on radar. Also just been monitoring storm spotter reports of hail in some of these areas. We're seeing the stronger storms in both Freestone and Limestone.
Rob, let's switch over to Max 1 here. Yeah, let me show you what's going on. And Ashley's absolutely correct. Outside of the box area, we have thunderstorm development going on down there near Burnett, with very strong thunderstorms that are moving north towards Coppers Cove and Killeen, and that region there, getting some very heavy rains and very gusty winds. And I also want to underline the thought that Ashley mentioned there in the forecasting on this stuff. This is really panning out exactly the way we had anticipated it would, with the development of storms along and just west of I-35 in the mid-afternoon hours, and then intensifying as they swept across I-35 and into the region between Interstate 35 and Interstate 45, was where we are now. Looking at the radar, this is the real trouble spot that we continue looking at near Groesbeck and Thornton, with a severe thunderstorm that possibly had a tornado in it and may still have a tornado in it. We don't have storm spotters every inch of the real estate across central Texas. Those that can get there have been the ones that have been giving us confirmation. What we're looking at, though, with the Doppler radar is what looks like some rotation going on. So it's radar indicated tornadic activity there in Limestone County. We got another one that does show the same thing here back to the northeast, moving across Interstate 45 and away from us right now. We've got a couple of very strong thunderstorms in progress here. And I don't know if you can tell the difference here. You got the red line with white lines on either side of it. That's to help differentiate where the tornado warning is in effect. And that covers much of Limestone County, northern Freestone County, and then portions of Navarro County as well. Until 6 o'clock this evening, that tornado warning is in effect, severe thunderstorm warning, which is, it sounds less severe, and it is, but the potential is still there for a possible tornadic activity. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the southern portions of Limestone County and back down into portions of the Brazos Valley. We got clear skies out to the west, but before we can say it's all clear, we have one more line of showers and thunderstorms that are between I-35 and Highway 281. These are the ones we're talking about here. Again, the main energy is to the north of us, and what happens is these storms begin to develop, and as they begin to develop, then the areas near them and just to the south become unstable. So we see what we call back building on these storms, and that's exactly what's happening this afternoon. This is your cold front here. We've had the dry line pushing through, and that was the initial lift through a very unstable atmosphere. Now the front's coming through, the winds are shifting, and that is giving us another round of showers and thunderstorms that will continue marching from out west back towards I-35 and then over towards I-45 and to deep East Texas before they're completely out of the way. So to bring you up to date, Waco has picked up about half an inch of rain. We never got any reports of any tornadic activity or hail damage there, but I know from looking at the statistics that we had winds in excess of 40 miles an hour around Waco at several locations. We had some nice rains move through Temple and Killeen. We got a strong storm here. Let's zoom in on this one here near Fort Hood and Killeen if we can. There we go. We're not getting a warning on these storms yet, but they're beginning to pulse up in that very moist atmosphere. They're moving north very rapidly and will be affecting much of the area between Waco and Temple in a short period of time. And we're talking about, here's Moody and McGregor and Crawford getting showers now back towards Waco. Things are beginning to cloud back up again. Although we're not getting any rain, we are getting some very strong gusty winds and affecting those areas. Let me step aside here, and again, here's our trouble spot back towards Limestone County and towards I-45. We got strong thunderstorm activity going on across southeastern portions of Falls County, making their way kind of between Rosebud and Lott there through Wilderville, then on over towards Stranger, Blue Ridge, and Cossie, then making their way now towards Groesbeck once again. Almost constant lightning embedded in this thunderstorm that we're looking at here south of Groesbeck. It is marching off back towards Fairfield. So Fairfield, Redland, those areas there, back towards Centerville. You're going to be getting some very heavy rains as well as we watch new development going on to the south, making their way back towards Leon County. Buffalo just had a real quick shower there, making it a wet and windy afternoon for them as well. To recap, we have thunderstorm warning in effect for portions of Limestone County and Freestone County. We got a tornado warning in effect for storms just to the north of our viewing area, making their way out of our region. And we've still got a tornado watch in effect for much of central Texas till 8 o'clock tonight for strong thunderstorms anticipated to move into our viewing area here very shortly.
Absolutely, and they're continuing to dump a heavy amount of rain across the region too. Even the storms just to the west of the I-35 corridor are still popping up as getting about an inch to almost 2 inches of rain per hour. Granted, a lot of these cells themselves have been very fast moving overall, but we are continuing to watch, especially the ones out to the west of I-35. We still have those two multiple tornado warm storms right now. Still tornado warning in effect for around Thornton and Groesbeck till about 6 o'clock. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning. That we should get an update on that within the next about minute or so, because as we enter the next half hour of the 5 o'clock, where we're still kind of watching exactly where these thunderstorms are going to continue popping up all around the region. Let me go ahead and actually pull up the velocity and see if we can still get any kind of positive rotation around these storms, because most of these tornado warnings are still going to be radar indicated. So we are still seeing right around just south of looks like Highway 164, excuse me, still getting some of that slight rotation around the actual storms themselves. And of course, the severe thunderstorms can also just can also produce tornadoes, and that's exactly what we're seeing across the region. Not a whole lot of actual severe thunderstorm warnings, but more so a lot of these tornado warnings continuing to pop up across the region as a lot of these strong winds created by this dry line and by the combining moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. Looks like the one actually north of Fairfield is right around the Winkler region is showing very positive looking hail core. Tornado warning has now been extended until about 6:15 right south of, looks like Round Prairie and right around the Crossroads region. Let me see if I can go ahead and pop off a velocity or even just see any kind of warnings regarding hail.
We got report, and we've all three mentioned the danger from lightning. We've had report of lightning damage to an outbuilding and barns at a farm ranch over near Mahia about 20 minutes ago. So be mindful that these storms are all packing a punch. Lightning started a fire from its strike there on County Road 758, and that was about 20 minutes ago. Reports in Hopkins, which is a little bit outside of our viewing area, of a home destroyed and folks trapped in a vehicle because of storm damage. Large hail, as Jordan was saying, showing up on these. Have you got a hail core showing?
Let me see. I actually have a setting a little bit farther down here a ways. I can pull up the actual hail core itself. If I can find it. We've been going through so many of these graphics today with how often these storms continue to pop up all around the region today. Some hail tracks.
And they continue to back build as well. It had been confined to Fort Worth and Weatherford, then it spread over into Arlington and Dallas, and then it started back building towards Stephenville and Cleburne, and then eventually making its way down into Bosque County and Meridian, staying north of Meridian, but they got some nice rains there. And now it's built even further south down into our portion of Central Texas, sweeping across over towards the I-45 corridor.
I'm looking at hail tracks showing right around Streetman, Winkler, and Round Prairie, showing anywhere from pea-sized to nickel-sized hail associated with the actual hail cores in the storm. Anywhere where there's basically been any kind of tornado warning or still active tornado warnings. We're looking right around Toole, Gun Barrel City, still about pea-sized hail. Nothing too major right now. Let's head actually.
Lots of it, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking right around the Thornton region. We're getting up to almost quarter-sized hail as you head farther south toward the Reagan region. And just south of Stranger along, looks like, Route 14 and Route 6. Just north of Hammond. So some of these, not too terrible in terms of hail, but of course hail in general can certainly cause some damages to buildings, to vehicles. So it's going to be important to stay inside. The worst of any of these is going to remain mostly in the Dallas-Fort Worth region, but of course we're still getting constant tornado warnings. There's severe thunderstorm warnings, you name it.
And in many cases, it's Doppler indicated stuff and not actually touching down, but it certainly will grab your attention and make you take this weather scenario seriously. Let's see. Lots of warnings for the area north towards Dallas-Fort Worth. Good news is they have canceled the warning for Limestone County and Freestone County. Are we still warning over in Navarro County? I'm not. It looks like we are. Yeah. Until at least another 10 minutes, it looks like, till 5:45 for storms in that area right now.
It looks like right around Thornton, Groesbeck, Mejia, Fairfield still has that tornado warning. Latest update actually has it just to the northeast of Thornton, right around the Groesbeck region. Let me see what the National Weather Service has in terms of the latest update with that. We have, it should be around the Teague region about 5:50 p.m., so within about 15 minutes. Fairfield around 6:05, so we're talking about 20 minutes or 30 minutes from now. They're saying tree damage is going to be the most likely due to some of these strong winds. It's currently moving at about 40 miles per hour. We're looking at the main hazard being still the radar indicated tornado and about $half sized hail. So we're talking hail, about a little over an inch in diameter. So that's enough to cause some significant damage. So definitely, number one, don't go outside, but if you are outside, cover your head. That's going to hurt when it hits. Right now, it's currently located about 8 miles east of Groesbeck, moving northeast about 40 miles per hour. Flying debris, of course, biggest threat that comes with any storm with any significant winds, let alone any tornado-warned storm. Avoid anything outside. We're still looking at lots of these regions getting just.
Well, and we have overlapping tornado warnings in that area. We expired one for Freestone County, but there's another one over Freestone County that we're warning on right now as well. Inch and a quarter hail and extremely strong, damaging winds, 50 mile an hour. And the movement on this tornadic storm is towards the east-northeast at around 40 miles an hour. The latest tracker on it was close to Grosbeck there, and you can see it showing up on the screen. Well, we're looking at the reflectivity on your screen right now, and if we'll switch over to max 1, this is the velocity. The difference between the two is the reflectivity is a radar bounce back showing us where there is precipitation going on and the intensity of the precipitation. The velocity mode, again, takes that same signal and looks inside the storm, and when it bounces back, it tells us whether the winds are moving away from us or towards us. And when we can find those spots where winds are in two different directions causing that shear, then that is what we consider to be the center of rotation on that. And we're not seeing a lot of this across this portion of the storm, but as you head back towards the north, there certainly looks like there could be some activity going on. Ward Prairie, just to the north of Fairfield, right there. Very heavy rains and very strong gusty winds with this storm. So, as I said, even though we have retired one tornado warning, there's still very dangerous storm in progress there, and a warning continues across the adjacent portions of Navarro County and Freestone County as this storm boogies back towards Interstate 45 and on out of our viewing area right now. But there's more activity going on all the way back down towards Marlin. We're seeing activity, not in Marlin right this moment, but we've certainly been looking at storms moving out of Milam County around Cameron and moving into the southern portions of Falls County just to the south of Marlin as well. Very heavy rain going on. Then we get kind of a break. You head towards the west, towards I-35 and Temple and Belton and Troy and Bruceville, Eddy. It's quiet, but once you get the other side of I-35, get back over towards Gatesville again. Let's move this map over a little bit, Jordan. Slide me out towards the west. We see another line of showers that are developing to the other west. Here we go. Here's what I'm talking about here. Shower and thunderstorms. Now this is still in our viewing area. This is out to the west. This is Bosque County. There's Clifton, Valley Mills, Laguna Park, right there on the county line at Lake Whitney, on down towards Coryell County. We're seeing showers and thunderstorms that have moved through Gatesville again in the last 15 minutes, heading towards Flat and McGregor and Crawford and Oglesby, about to get some very heavy rains and strong gusty winds as well. Good news is we're not seeing anything that looks like rotation of these storms, but lots of lightning, dangerous lightning. Like I mentioned a moment ago, we had a lightning strike, set a barn on fire. We're getting tree branches falling because of the winds snapping them off. Folks are getting trapped in their vehicles because of falling debris, flying debris doing its certain share of the damage we're seeing this afternoon as well. So seek shelter. How much longer are we going to be looking at this? Probably another hour or so until we get most of the viewing area in the clear. This is the second wave. There's a third wave behind it, but I don't think that it's going to be affecting us. I think it will pass well to the north of us. We get this line through here. The first line is almost out of the picture for us right now. It's already back over towards I-45. We've still got a tornado warning for portions of our viewing area back over there across Limestone and Freestone counties, but that stuff is moving away pretty rapidly. Then we get set for this second wave that's coming, sweeping its way across Hill County, McLennan County, Coryell County, and Bell County here shortly, with very heavy rains and very strong gusty winds, and very likely we'll see hail with that as well. And then we get another break, and once the sun goes down, the atmosphere should begin to stabilize a little bit, but it's still going to be a very stormy next couple of hours or so. Let's slide further west, Jordan. Slide west a little bit, because I'm seeing another box out there. It looks like we have another tornado watch box that's been issued just to the west of Highway 281. It seems to be clipping Hamilton and Mills counties there. There's Evant, and heading down into Lampasas County there.
Wider angle on Max 2. They have issued now a third tornado watch box across the region, extending all the way into Franklin, into Hearn, and to College Station as well. We're looking
So
at
one to the east and one to the west then.
yeah, on top of the ones that we already have. And I'm watching right now this big line of thunderstorms just all of a sudden popping up just to the south of Killeen, extending from all the way through Gatesville, basically making a line from Temple to Waco and rapidly approaching the I-35 corridor. I'm actually going to pull up our sky cam here, of course, being in Temple, seeing if we can actually see that from our sky cams. I do want to let everyone know that viewers, anyone watching, you can text the word weather, forecast, or radar to our number, 254-777-6000. That's going to be 254-777-6000 to track the storm with 6 News Online and easily download the 6 News app. So, of course, we can get you not just accurate information on air, but also through our app as well. And we're talking about I'm actually getting a couple reports right now from our producer. She was saying that it looks like around Paris, Texas, there was a video of tornado and
Yeah, I
also
saw that.
Photos of a tornado near Sulphur Springs being posted onto Twitter. There's going to be that video for you.
That's not local. That is up near Paris, and Paris is getting up close to the Oklahoma state line, just so we don't mislead anyone.
Oh, of course. And definitely the Dallas-Fort Worth region is getting the worst of these showers and thunderstorms coming through. Much more in terms of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings. And you can really start to see that with just how big the severe risk potential is across the region. Most of that, we're talking about this entire Maine warning, that level 4 moderate risk stretching across much of the region. Not just our region, but more so, look, we're talking about Texas, we're talking about going into Oklahoma, we're talking into Arkansas, then we're talking all the way into Louisiana. And that's just the level 4 risk. And of course, that does mean we can expect definitely a significant number of tornadoes, large hail getting up to about 2 inches in some areas, high winds getting up to about 80 miles per hour. And of course, the flooding is going to be generally localized, and that's just because we're seeing a lot of these showers and storms moving as quickly as they can across much of our region. But what I do want to show you is just more so our area. We're talking about a lot of this risk has been constantly changing throughout the days and throughout all of our forecasts, and that's just because the predictability of exactly where this is going to be and where we're going to see a lot of these severe storms. Most of it, as we've seen so far, has stayed out to the far eastern side of the I-35 corridor. Granted, we're still going to be under that level 3 enhanced risk. That level 4 risk is just going to be more so for the far northwestern regions or northeastern regions of our area. Then that slight risk and that marginal risk have continued to shift farther to the east as we just continue to go over the next couple of days. So it's actually showing a little bit less in terms of our area. So that's certainly some good news, but I do want to pull up our sky cam because I do have an interesting feeling regarding
I looked out the back door and it looks very stormy. Hey, switch over to Max 1 real quick while he's calling up that weather camera. Here's a line of storms that we were just mentioning out to the west of us that are marching towards the Waco, Temple, Killeen area. Now should be spreading eastward here over the next hour or so, and you'll be feeling the effects of it. And Waco, if you're not already, they'll be approaching the Twin Bridges there very shortly and into Waco by about 5:50. 6 o'clock should be close to Axtell, 6:10 Mart. This line of storms, the northern end is going to be sweeping through Corsicana by 6:20. Wortham, you'll get another round coming up here close to 6:30. Mahia, same thing. Tig and Fairfield between 6:30 and 6:45. You'll see this line of storms, the ones that we're looking at right here, north and south, making their way over towards I-35, through the area between the two interstates, and then on past I-45 as well. So the forecast for rain has been pretty good so far. We're all getting some of it. We're not getting a whole lot of it. We're certainly not getting as much as we would love to be seeing. We're so far behind in rain. But we're dodging the bullet on a lot of the severe weather that's in progress across the region right now. Let me see what else we can. We'll move out a bit here, show you how widespread this activity is. We're, as I've mentioned the last couple of hours several times, we're at the southern end of this stuff, but it's still causing quite a punch as it moves through central Texas. We've seen a new tornado watch go up for the Brazos Valley and much of East Texas, and that will run until midnight tonight. Big, strong storms going on between Dallas and Sulphur Springs as well. But here locally, get out of the weather. Stay someplace safe. Get off the road because these storms are accompanied with very strong, dangerous winds as well, and could easily. We saw last month with trailers and 18-wheelers getting flipped over by the strong gusty winds. So not the time to be on the road whatsoever.
No, not at all. And we're just constantly getting a lot of these like little cold fronts after cold fronts coming through because we're still abnormally warm for this time of year. I mean, we had the third hottest summer on record. So we kind of want these cold fronts to come through, bring us a little bit of relief. The problem is they're bringing in a lot of upset, in terms of, well, we're getting a lot of severe thunderstorms.
Want to show you what Jordan found here. We'll switch over to Max 2. Take a look at the site from our skylight weather camera. This is in downtown Temple, looking back towards the west, and you're looking at the leading edge of that weather coming on in.
Yeah, so don't get fooled when you see that sun, because just behind that sun, we're talking about some very dark clouds, and they are forming very quickly as well. And that's basically what we've seen with a lot of these storms. They move through very quickly, but with how quickly they move through, they can move out just as quickly. But that means you need to be weather aware. You need to be prepared. You need to have your shoes on. You need to be ready to take cover. Of course, you want to be in a sturdy building, number one, especially if you look out and you see these clouds in the distance. That's not necessarily a good sign. You can even see just how heavy some of the rain is. So it's not going to be raining at this point in the horizon, but it's heavy rain over here. We're talking, again, about 1 to 2 inches per hour, maybe even stronger, with winds alone getting up to 40 miles per hour, up to almost 80 miles per hour. One of our reporters, our sports reporter, Nicole Sheeran, she's out there trying to get some footage right now, and her tripod, our camera tripods, are actually beginning to blow over. So, and those things are by no means weak. They are quite sturdy. They're meant to handle the weight of the camera and also a lot of movement. And if those are not holding up, then I suggest that you head inside as well too. So we're getting just very strong winds in general, strong rain, lightning, hail, you name it, and it's just continuing to pop up around the region.
Do we still have that tornado video from Paris? I'm getting a little information trickling in here. We had a number of brick homes in the Paris area completely destroyed by this storm as it rolled through Paris, Texas this afternoon. Emergency medical personnel in Paris are reporting a number of folks that are trapped in the rubble. I mention this because that's what we're afraid can happen in our area. Again, that's why the tornado warnings are up. That's why the severe thunderstorm warnings are up. I can't stress enough, now is the time to find your safe place, whether it be a bathroom or a closet. Downstairs, put as many walls between you and the outdoors as you possibly can. Hiding up under the stairs is good. Get into your bathtub, and pull a mattress over your head if the tornado sirens near you start going off, because it means you're in imminent danger. I know it sounds silly, but be sure you got your shoes on, because if you find yourself in a position where everything is gone, you've lost everything because of these storms like we saw in Gerald and in Salado, and what we're seeing across North Texas today, you at least got your shoes on. You got that going for you. It's not the time to start thinking, well, where could I go for safety? You need to already have that place in mind. You should already have spare prescriptions. If you are taking prescription medicine, be sure that you got spares of that. Spare glasses if you need them, shoes, batteries for your radios. You need to be prepared, because these are some very serious storms. To reiterate, again, we have a line of storms that are moving out of our region right now, prompting a tornado warning for portions of Limestone County, Navarro County. We've got strong thunderstorms in progress just to the south of Fort Hood and Killeen that are making their way northward. We've got storms in progress across Fairfield back to almost Groesbeck right now. Other storms approaching Buffalo on I-45. Then you get to I-35 and points westward, and it is a solid wall of severe weather stretching from north of Hillsborough, just south of Maypearl and Waxahachie, back west of I-35, through Crawford, on down through South Mountain at Gatesville, through Flat, through Nolanville and Harker Heights, on down to Stillhouse Hollow. This is a very dangerous line of storms. I'm on max 1 here. Let me switch over there. There you go. Let's back out a little bit on this, and you can see what I'm talking about here. This is a very dangerous storm, and it is the storm line that new tornado watch was issued for, because it's now making its way into that area with damaging winds, large hail, very heavy downpours of rain, lots of lightning, and right on the cold front here, you see the winds coming in from the north here and out of the south here. This is the dividing line of the two atmospheres coming together and colliding. There's a threat of tornadic activity, so we have the tornado watch in effect. We take you again once from up to the north and just to the south of Fort Worth, El Laredo and Cleburne, on down to the I-35Y now. Again, this is not the day to be on the interstate heading anywhere, north or south right now. These storms are very dangerous. In and around Hillsborough, as far west as Lake Whitney as well, then back on down towards Valley Mills, and it cuts across through Crawford, just to the east of Gatesville now, into Fort Hood and Killeen, and finally comes to at least a break right along the extreme northern portions of Burnett County there, but there's more activity in progress down to that area as well. A lot of lightning, very heavy downpours of blinding rain. You've got hail as well, and winds that have been clocked in excess of 50 miles an hour on these storms. So we're getting a whole line of showers and thunderstorms with all the bad weather you can imagine impact in this storm system making its way east. Why? Because we got a cold front coming through. This is a very spring-like weather pattern. Autumn is very much like spring in that you have two seasons trying to battle it out. Right now, wintertime is trying to force summer to come to an end, and it's not had a whole lot of luck so far. And in the springtime, you have just the opposite. You've got summertime trying to push winter off the stage so it can take over. And that's why we're seeing the contrast here. And this is why we're seeing what many folks, including my boss, wants to call spring-like weather. It's not just spring-like, it's in the autumn as well, and that's what we've got going on here right now. If you're curious, we have tornadoes 12 months of the year. They're not confined to the spring, and they're not confined to the fall. So, and they're not confined to the plain states. We've had tornadoes in all 50 states of the Union. So this is not completely out of the realm of normalcy, but it is, it's quite a stormy afternoon.
Absolutely, and a lot of the reasons tornadoes typically form is you have a lot of that cold, dense air coming in from the north, you have a lot of that wet, hot air coming in from the Gulf, and then you have a lot of that hot, dry air coming in from the desert. And where's Texas? We're right in the middle of all of that, and especially when you have a cold front coming through, it's bringing a lot of that air into our region. That's exactly what you can expect. I'm actually getting a lot of oh yeah, as a matter of fact, we do actually have some video out of Greenview, Texas. Greenville, Texas. We're talking about south of Sulphur Springs. Videos of more of these tornadoes. This is going to be well to the north of our viewing area. We're talking Greenville is going to be along the I-20 corridor, heading up toward closer to the Dallas and Fort Worth region, but we're watching just heavy showers and thunderstorms. Look at that. Look at the cows just sitting there watching it as it continues to go through. Notice how some of these tornadoes, they can look decently big, and they can also just cause some damage, despite the fact it's not a very visible storm too, but you're getting a lot of these. Just look how quickly it is ripping through that entire farm. Posted just a few minutes ago, so that is just absolutely crazy watching how quickly some of these can come through. That big line of showers and thunderstorms we're watching approaching the I-35 corridor, I'm getting current radar readings up to about almost over 3 inches of rain per hour across the region. So that is absolutely crazy. We still have those tornado warnings, multiple tornado warnings out to the I-45 corridor. We're talking right around the Mejia-Fairfield region. We're still talking about well to the east of the Dallas-Fort Worth region. Lots of the localized cells are providing heavy lightning, localized downpours, very strong wind gusts. Currently, surprisingly, out to our region, where we're talking Waco and Temple, Killeen, where we're getting a lot of these big line showers and thunderstorms. They have not yet been severe thunderstorm warned. And the reason for that is typically to get a severe thunderstorm warning status, you need to have wind gusts over 58 miles per hour, and you also need hail to be about 1 inch in diameter or larger. It could be either one of those, doesn't have to be, it could be either or, it doesn't have to be and you have to have both. But surprisingly, with how much precipitation these are currently picking up on radar, as well as the numerous light, I'm still genuinely surprised that they have not issued that severe thunderstorm status. But of course, even if you are outside of that tornado warned box, we're talking places like Killeen, Temple, and even heading toward Cameron, you still have the chance to see some tornadic activity as well as the severe thunderstorm activity. Just because you're not exactly in that box or exactly in that county doesn't mean that you are safe. This is going to be more of a generalized area across the region where you can see widespread showers, thunderstorms, tornadic activity, large hail. We're getting hail again up to almost 2 inches in diameter all across the region. Here's a better way to put it, actually, on the warning map on Max 2 whenever it pops up, is just how big of an area that tornado watches. So you have the actual box itself, you can already see that, but then you actually have the counties that are covered up under it. And even so, some places like Lampasas, you got a little bit of that box covering your area, but you still don't have the actual county with the color in it. It just means if you are within any kind of reasonable distance from any of these warnings, do expect to be weather aware and also just be ready to take cover. You don't want to be out on the roads or the interstate, especially with some of this rain. Over 3 inches an hour, that's going to be blinding. I don't care how fast your windshield wipers are, you're probably not going to see, and other people are unlikely to see you with such low visibility. On top of it, you're talking about wind gusts getting up to over 40 miles an hour. That's enough to take any regular car and cause it very difficult to drive on interstates, especially at those higher speeds. And with how quickly some of these thunderstorms, these tornadoes, a lot of the hail is popping up across the region, that's just risking yourself as well as risking anyone else on the road, and also risking your own property as well, because we are still getting a couple of those damage reports coming in as well. Ashley, have you noticed anything in terms of weather reports?
As far as damage reports for our area, the last one that we got, and Andy had mentioned it earlier, was that lightning that hit the barn. A lot of these damage reports we're getting are going to be to the north of us from our viewing area, North Texas into Oklahoma, closer to Oklahoma, I should say. Just damaged homes as well as downed tree limbs and things of that nature. And of course, they were the area that really got the worst of these storms. We've been kind of on the southern most portions where most of our tornado warnings have been to our northeastern zones. What I've been looking at really is this second line of storms now moving closer into that McLennan-Bell County line, and all of these storms right now out to the west for us don't have any severe potential just yet. But I want to keep in mind we still have a little ways to go until sunset, so conditions are still going to be favorable really until then, and we still have that tornado watch also in effect for these areas in that I-35 and east of the I-35 corridor until 8 o'clock. So even though right now severe potential is starting to go down, still going to want to be on your weather guards for the next couple of hours.
Absolutely, and it's just because we're starting to get that first round of the actual showers and thunderstorms was more so associated with a dry line ahead of the main cold front. And now you can see just on the map itself, the main cold front is actually just approaching the I-35 corridor. You have two of the big tornado watch boxes just out to the east ahead of it, and these are going to be areas. Notice how they stretch not just throughout central Texas. We're talking widespread throughout multiple states. We're talking Oklahoma, we're talking about Arkansas, we're talking about Louisiana. So this is going to be a large multi-state system that we have entirely pushing through the region. And that's typically what you get with a lot of these cold fronts, but you don't see a lot of severe storm potential just quite like this. You still have multiple severe tornado watch boxes, and most of that is because the conditions are very favorable for tornadoes. So you have a lot of the dry air coming out from the desert in the west. You got a lot of that moist air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. It's also going to be very warm air. You still have a lot of that very Arctic cold air coming in behind this frontal system itself, and that is what is entirely giving us the right conditions to make a lot of these severe thunderstorms, to make a number of these tornado warnings. There's that main tornado watch box still in effect for about 8 o'clock. We do have that tornado warning for right around Mejia. Looks to be closer toward the Fairfield region. We also have a couple moving out to the northeast. We're continuing to watch this big line of showers and thunderstorms that do have the potential to become severe, have not come severe yet, as of course Ashley has mentioned, but we're watching it stretch as far south as Killeen, going through Gatesville, trying to move into the Wake